The halls of Dr. Jones's practice in New Haven, Connecticut are plastered with pictures and cards from the kids and teens he's treated over the past 40 years. Roughly 15,000 who've desperately needed Dr. Jones's help to cure their Lyme disease. Parents and their kids travel from every corner of the earth, including China, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Europe, and Canada, to see Dr. Jones. Because of some past athletic injuries, Dr. Jones walks with a limp and uses a cane, but still wears a tracksuit to work every day, instead of the more traditional and expected white doctor's coat. He's 82 and should be retired, but he still works 6 days a week for 10 hours a day or more, because he's the only pediatrician who specializes in Lyme disease. Transmitted to humans by the painless bite of a tick the size of a poppy seed, Lyme disease can cause a wide range of musculoskeletal and neurological symptoms. It can affect many organs of the body, including the brain, nervous system, muscles, joints, and the heart. The bacterium has an ability to change forms, which often makes it difficult to detect and destroy. The longer the symptoms go untreated, the more intractable they become. Kids can be especially susceptible to getting Lyme disease because they're always playing outside. And because they don't know what normal is, they can't always explain what feels wrong. It's not uncommon for parents or teachers to suspect them of making things up to get attention. It's often a long road of misdiagnoses before kids get in to see Dr. Jones for treatment. Like little Colin, who suddenly got sick when he was just 3. Often he wasn't able to walk, so he had to be carried everywhere. Noise bothered him, even the sound of the family car, and sunlight hurt his eyes so bad that he had to wear sunglasses everywhere. His teachers called him difficult, and he was labeled special needs. He had to leave school. The doctors Colin initially saw diagnosed him with the terrible 3s, but his parents knew that there was something more serious going on. Finally, Colin's family drove over 10 hours to see Dr. Jones, who treated Colin for over a year with antibiotics, and now he's completely better and back to normal. Colin is just one of the thousands of kids who desperately needed Dr. Jones's help. Dr. Jones gives his all into his patients. He's known for memorizing medical charts, lab results, and symptoms of every one of his kids. He also treats many kids at a discount and sometimes even for free. He explains he can't send them away because he knows the serious consequences of untreated Lyme disease. Dr. Jones has been called an angel, a saint, a hero, and a savior. But this March, Dr. Jones is headed to the Connecticut Supreme Court to defend his practice. It all started in 2005 when a divorced father who disputed having to pay half of his children's Lyme disease medical bills filed a complaint with the Connecticut Department of Public Health against Dr. Jones. The state medical board and the Department of Health accused Dr. Jones of diagnosing and treating the children without examining them. But the children's mother, a registered nurse, has testified that Dr. Jones only agreed to renew her son's azithromycin prescription for the chronic cough that was preventing him from going to school until she was able to fly the children from Nevada out to Connecticut for an exam to see Dr. Jones in person. When they got there, Dr. Jones ran the tests, diagnosed the 2 children with Lyme disease, and completely restored them back to health. In the eyes of medical establishment, Dr. Jones is considered a controversial figure because he doesn't follow the diagnosis and treatment guidelines of the Infectious Diseases Society of America, who mandate that people with Lyme disease only be given antibiotics for 4 weeks. Instead, he treats patients using clinical judgment and commonly used antibiotics until the patients are well, and instead of deferring to guidelines that he believes will not provide a cure or relief. The proceedings against Dr. Jones are part of a pattern. 30 other Lyme specialists in 10 states have also been brought up on charges of negligence or malpractice by state and medical and ethics boards for prescribing long-term antibiotic treatment for Lyme disease. Lyme disease doctors believe that they are being unfairly persecuted because the people who write the guidelines have close ties to insurance companies. At this present time, there are 43 other doctors who are also facing charges brought on by the Connecticut Medical Board for substance abuse, sexual misconduct, mental illness, and negligence, and not one of them is receiving a fine larger than $5,000. By comparison, Dr. Jones has been ordered to pay a $20,000 fine and finance 4 years of supervised probation monitoring. The legal and mandated monitoring costs are crippling Dr. Jones's practice. Because the monitor has found nothing wrong with Dr. Jones's practice, Dr. Jones's attorneys have petitioned the medical board to reduce the monitoring, but the medical board has declined the appeals. Over the past 7 years, the huge legal fees, fines, and mandatory monitoring is driving Dr. Jones into bankruptcy. He's falling behind on rent, salaries, utilities, and his building is threatening to begin eviction proceedings. The 3,000 kids who are currently under Dr. Jones's care are afraid of losing the only doctor that will treat them properly. Dr. Jones sent out an email to patients in Lyme groups asking for donations for his defense fund and office expenditures. Emails flew around the internet around the world, and within the first 24 hours, supporters had set up a website and have collected more than $10,000 in gifts. Dr. Jones still needs to raise another $4,000 by March 29th to help save his practice and pay for his legal fees for the upcoming Supreme Court hearings. Please go to Indiegogo.com and search Dr. Jones to donate just $10. In doing so, you will be part of an effort that assures that many sick children will continue to have access to effective treatment for their Lyme disease.